Yo, everyone. Welcome to another Tales of Web3 podcast. Today we are recording season 3, episode 4, with the co-founder and CEO of Soon, Joanna Zheng. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going, Ricky? Thanks for having me on.
Really excited to have you. I think Soon is starting to get a lot of hype and trend lately, especially on crypto Twitter. And I prepared a lot of the interesting questions that I'm really curious about you personally and the story of Soon. So why don't we start the podcast by you sharing a little bit more about yourself and the founding story of Soon?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the shout out on the Twitter buzz these days. Yeah, so I am. Let's see, that where do I start? I am a crypto class of 2017. So got into crypto initially because a career hedge, right? So I was a currency trader for almost a decade, and through that job, I first learned about the Bitcoin white paper back in 2013. Actually, dabbled into some personal investment to hedge
That's pretty
my
cool.
currency risk, right? As a currency trader, maybe someday people just use actual Bitcoins to replace fiat currencies. But at the time, it felt like a bit of a fad, right? Like only temporary. So after I lost it all, because I actually invested in a exchange called Mongolf that
Oh shit.
went bankrupt. So that was my first rug. Uh, I felt
They
like,
finally
okay,
started to repay the monies, right? Like
I
starting this
heard,
year.
I gotta get into that. Yeah, it's like a class act, right? Class suit towards them. Anyway, so I basically thought about it as like an investment vehicle. It really didn't pay too much attention to 2017. That's when, the smart contract capability came out with Ethereum, and then I very much was into the whole premises of this is more than like just a payment vehicle. So one thing I realized immediately is I had uh, a lot of knowledge gap. I didn't come from like a technical like CS background. I mean, know enough about programming, but just not enough about like the actual sort of the language. So I took a coding camp and basically founded this developer community here in New York, Crypto NYC. We actually got that name, the OG name,
Nice.
and it's just a fancy name for people that likes to nerd out on white paper. And we had like a white paper reading group that get together very frequently in person. This is before the pandemic time. Anyway, that launched me into the real job, like getting a paid job in crypto. And my first
Coinbase?
job, was with Coinbase.
Nice.
So that was my initial entry point. I came in as a salesperson, so doing similar things what I did before, still pushing, like crypto as another asset class to the investors, right? Um, but then pretty quickly I got plucked out of that and move on to the like what we call like the more Web3 native projects, an NFT marketplace, the Coinbase NFT marketplace, if anyone remembers that. So that was interesting. Kind of did the a lot of like client relationship management, like helping these. Don't ask me how many NBA players I talked to about making their mints, but so that was interesting. But very quickly, kind of the bubble bursted, right? So that whole department got deprioritized for myself in the market. But luckily, I quickly found the next step with Optimism as the BD lead and move on to basically help out now Coinbase on the other side of the table to launch OP Stack with Base Chain.
Nice.
And then, most recently, I was also working with another project on the ZK space. And that's actually how I met my co founder. So, going back to the Soon founding story, we're both in the ZK space, hardware acceleration, and he came from the Polkadot ecosystem, so pretty prominent figure within that ecosystem, which is another Rust based L1, right? That is dead now. So all these like previous CTOs that are homeless, we basically home them as soon, right? I really give him a lot of credit for recruiting the best talent that already knows Rust, that work together well together, in the past, right? And we quickly put together this team that now, as you know, the end story is like we launched our mainnet within 6 months, very much record time. So so we came together. The main thing that we wanted to solve is basically mass adoption. I mean, like everybody else, right, in crypto. And when we looked at the Ethereum side, I mean, this was back in a year ago, right? So like ETH was not at trading at where it is right now. So I think it
I
was
see.
still relatively like a non-consensus view to say that Ethereum needs saving at the time, right? But we pretty quickly looked at all the EVML2s, and just the adoption that it has amassed at the time was just not enough, right? Like all the anti-friendship tech stack is actually fragmenting the liquidity, if anything. And we're not seeing any new blood, new users coming in. So so that's when we saw the kind of the one bright spot within the space was Solana, right? So Solana has been at that point, just having more user activities than anything. And all the
And a
EVM
core
very
developer community, right? I think that is like the
exactly.
key differentiator. A lot of people why they wanted to build on Sol and make their bets.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. So I think that builder culture is what we wanted to extend to other ecosystems with Ethereum as a first start, right? So so the point is, how do we do that, right? So we looked at the stack of OP, which we're familiar with, and we figured out a way basically to plug that into the SVM, the Solana virtual machine, um, in a native way. So yeah, we did a lot of engineering on that, but was able to finally like figure out the modular approach. And I think the same time with everything happening with within the Solana ecosystem itself, right? Like totally itself have talked about making like OP cat on SVM. Yeah, just a bunch of like you can see this window of opportunities opening, right? Like the one really big example is they also directed actual resources towards the development of SVM split, right? So that was Anza's work, the development shop that got spun out from Solana Foundation. So all of these is like showing me that stars are aligning, right? The users wants to see more SVM based infrastructure. The Solana Foundation itself wants to see modular play on their own, infrastructure and making this a gold standard. And then the developers, right, are basically really attracted to the not only like the high speed, high performance of the Solana virtual machine, but also the ethos, as you mentioned, like that builder culture. So I think that's why we wanted to like that's what started this journey, and we
That's
started to
awesome.
do this. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. I'm really curious. I think for you guys, like, are you guys building a chain or it is like a tech stack?
Yeah,
Almost
great
like,
question.
because I know for OP, they're building a tech stack, which means
Exactly.
people can all plug in and build like compatible chains, right? For
Hmm.
more committed chains, they can join as a super chain, right? Share
Hmm.
sequence and fee and stuff like that. So, like, when you say you guys use OP stack, like, just clarify for our audience, like, what does
Yeah.
that mean?
Yeah, exactly. So I think first and foremost is a stack company, right? So we do have this OP stack that we can give out to the community for other people to use to spin up their own SVM rollups. In most cases, are app chains, right? Like, I mean, we're also talking about building a SVM rollup on top of other ecosystems like Bitcoin, like Cosmos, like Tong, right?
It's gonna
So
be wild.
yeah. So it's like bringing SVM to everywhere, bring Solana level performance to every L1, right? So so yes, Stack is the main product, but we are dogfooding our own tech stack with the general purpose L2, right? Called Su mainnet that we launched in the beginning of the year. And we're actually also launching another product. I'm going to tease it out a little bit. It's going to be a launch pad. Yeah, can't share too much details there yet, but it's going to actually extend Solana into Solana, like more project, easier to launch their project onto Solana. I can probably tease out a little bit in the following questions.
Got it, got it. For a lot of the stack or the chains, right? Normally they choose to launch a lot of these different phases of testnet, right? And eventually they launch a token along with their mainnet. But as far as I know, like you guys actually launch a mainnet pretty soon, right?
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit more about like the decision making process and
Yeah.
like why you guys choose that way? Ship out mainnet like literally as soon as when it's ready, right? There's no
Yeah.
delay, there's no nothing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just tell us a little bit more about like
I
this.
think
Just
let's clarify this question first for the audience. Is shipping mainnet fast a good thing or not? Right? I think we can all agree it's a good thing, right? Like, first of all, I just want to
it
make
is
sure.
good. It is good. It's just unconventional. You know what I mean?
It's
Because
unconventional, exactly.
all the
I
other
think other
chains,
people wanted to do it as well, but they couldn't. Then they ended up like launching the token before they even have a DevNet, just a white paper, right? Or just the idea.
yeah. So
So
tell
just
us a
just
little
to
bit more. How did you?
maybe I should do that too, right? Just launch the coin before we even have any product. But sorry, jokes aside, yes, I think the main decision making that led to that kind of shipping speed, which we really see it as a competitive mode for us, is the laser focus on, like, basically we took another unconventional route, right? To really not so much of a focusing on the other parts that we know we can just rely on battle tested components like the OP stack, right? As a for example, we did minimum code diff from them and just rely on the derivation pipeline to link the L1 and L2. And on the DA layer, we're actually also using Eigen as a service provider. And then on the SVM mini engine, that's what we call it. That's where we spend most of our engineering effort. So we didn't really inherit a lot of tech debt to start with. And
I
then
see. More like
in that
using
process,
existing like mature technology, just
exactly, a
combining them.
critical approach.
Okay.
Yeah, but within the actual like innovation, right? It's happening within the SVM modularization, and making it native onto ETH, right, into Ethereum. So that's where we spend a lot of time code research with Anza on the Merkleization, putting Merkle Patricia tree into SVM and make it in a way that, like, for instance, we're not kind of plugging MPT into every slot, but basically like every 12 minutes or so. So it still coincides with like the batcher upload mode timing, but it's like enough to not jeopardize the performance improvement we want to see by introducing Merkleization. So
Got
that's
it.
one example. And another example is we are because we use something called decouple SVM, right? So this is really important. We are the first true L2, first true rollup on SVM rollup on Ethereum, right? Unlike
What's
some
the
of the
other one?
projects. Well, the other projects are side chains, right? So they just copy the client side of the mainnet. So that what that result in is a very high like DA cost, right? Because about 30 to 50% of the Solana mainnet transactions are voting threads,
I
and as
see.
L2, you don't need a consensus layer. So we strip all of that out. Again, squeezing every bit of a performance improvement out of the SVM, and that has a bunch of other benefits, not just on the performance side. Reducing DA costs, as one example, right? So that gets passed on to the users, so less fee, but also security. So because we're able to make it a lightweight tech stack, we can add fraud proof on top. So not just a multi-sig that's easily ruggable, right?
Okay.
So we have a ZK fraud proof design that we're working with. Succinct down. So that's another security benefit. And then last one is we are introducing this new concept of horizontal scaling. That's
Horizontal
another
scaling.
research that working with Anzalan. So essentially, just like Mega ETH has the vertical scaling, right? They're doing this huge beefy centralized sequencer approach. Um, everything runs on the same machine. We are further modularize the TPU, the transaction processing unit, across multiple machines. So spread the workload amongst different machines will allow us to not only increase the TPS, but also not sacrificing the reliability, because you can rotate amongst different machines. So
Got
so
it.
all of those innovations yeah, I mean, I think it's super important that we spend time on the things that matters, right? And then rely on the other sort of existing framework for the ones that we see that has been battle tested.
I see. As one of the very few projects building literally like simultaneously on Solana and Ethereum ecosystem,
Hmm.
like can you share a little bit more about the sentiment you are getting around like building on Sol and building on ETH? Like what is the difference and where
Great
like your
question.
attitude toward the future of both ecosystems?
Yeah. I think the sentiment, honestly, is about who are the new people coming in, right? So on the just like how NFT onboarded a bunch of people back in 2019 into Ethereum. So I think last year, right, alone, you see all these new people coming into Solana because of meme coins, because of the
Yes.
agent, right? All these new narratives, right? Prediction markets, what have you. So so the builder culture is something that like I love how you brought it up right away, right? It's something that we see as a problem with Ethereum and EVML2s, hundreds of them. Because they are providing this undifferentiated tech stack, the only thing they can differentiate on is the incentive campaign, right? So you see, they're actually
that's
cultivating,
so that's
yeah,
so
they're
true. Oh my god.
intentionally or non-intentionally the grand farmers, right? That hop on from one chain to another, really building the exact same thing without any innovation and being quite bottlenecked by the existing like the tech stack, right? So like AI is a great example. We're all talking about AI right now, right? We're talking about AI agent or just AI in general. Like maybe there's another narrative outside of agent. It will be the number one user of blockchain, right? So like think about that future, right? How do we prepare ourselves from a first principle perspective? So maybe we do need a bunch of L2s, right? High performance bunch of L2s to actually, yeah, accommodate that kind of high transaction volume, like AI driven on chain activities. So none of that is going to be um, enabled by a 12 seconds, on Ethereum, like block time production, or 400 milliseconds, or 2 seconds on OP stack, 400 milliseconds latency on the Arbitrum. We got it down to 50 milliseconds, and it can be even faster because we're using like a dynamic block production model. So that is important, right? That is important when you're talking about building this heavy compute on-chain activities, inference model, LM, what have you, right, on-chain. So yeah, that's why I think when we talk to the builders that are previously on Ethereum, they're all curious about Solana, but they also don't want to sacrifice the existing community and the existing
They don't.
liquidity, right? All the old money is still in Ethereum,
Yes.
like
Yes.
or not. So, Ethereum's not going down to zero as much as like people are shitting on it. So then how do we basically get the best of the two worlds, right? To get that like performance bottleneck taken out with SVM, but really, continue to, yeah, basically introducing high capital efficiency into the Ethereum world.
I see. What do you think is the biggest shift for you? Like previously, you've been like a business person, right? You've been doing BD, a lot of like these
Yeah.
experiences, turning that into like a founder's mindset. Like how that impacted you, and then like what is the most fun part? From the BD
Yeah.
mindset turning into the founder
Yeah.
mindset.
Yeah. I think like if you're talking about like what is my superpower as a founder, I think it's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
going
yeah.
back to um, maybe just I don't know how to say this in like simple sentences, but just ability to see potential before everybody else's does, right? So and go all the way in. I think that part is probably like the first part is more about judgment. The second part is more about just call it
Courage.
stupidity or call it like I mean you don't know if you're right or wrong, right? It's just kind of like the risk taking part of me, right? That likes to bet on it all, right? So if I'm passionate about the project, like I want to go all in. So I think that is something that I see worked out really well in my founder journey. Is doing a bunch of things that are unconventional and then doing kind of things in the hard way but the right way. So a good example of that is my fundraising strategy. That was a
Let's talk about that.
so,
Yes,
yeah, it was quite controversial because we didn't take any VC money. We kind of pissed off
I
a bunch
saw
of
it. The
people.
co-builders
Yeah.
round, right? That's what you got. And how big is it? Is
Co-builders
it
round. Yeah, we were
20
like, what
million?
are you talking about? Yeah, it's just angels, right? Yeah, no. It's co-builders because these are the people that are value aligned, right? Not
That's
just
actually
some random
great.
people that you can buy, right? Like people that took me a lot of time, right, to first identify the list of people that could be value aligned with you, right? It's already taking a lot of time, but then go in to have these one-on-one conversations. I think I have 44 conversations within 1 month, every
Holy.
single angel. Yeah. And basically to make sure that these guys sees the vision, right, and then also aligns with the this particular like ask that I have, right. Maybe somebody is more on co-building a narrative with me, on the modular side. The other person is like a actual service provider, right, like an Oracle service provider or wallet service provider, and obviously talking to a lot of Solana Foundation, Solana ecosystem projects, right? That is driving the thought leadership within the Solana ecosystem as well. So, yeah, so I did that as opposed to taking the check from one VC, and I think that really worked well. It paid off in the longer term because yeah, we were able to kind of really leverage the various relationship we have and bootstrap the initial ecosystem.
Is most of your like co-builders or angels from like the Solana ecosystem? Are there some
It's
of them from the
it's both.
Ethereum world?
Yeah, they're both Ethereum and the Solana side, and then the other big category is the modular approach,
That's
right? So
awesome. That's
the folks
awesome.
like Caldera from Caldera, Outlayer, like Mustafa, the founder of Celestia, and yeah, a bunch of people from the Roll Up. That's a podcast.
I saw like the fundraising news last year,
Mhm.
and like this is like something that like something like I never seen before. You know what I mean? And I saw the name you guys launched it called like the co-builders round. I think
Yeah,
this is
like
fucking
totally
dope.
Lily.
I
Yeah,
like it. I
exactly.
like it, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Besides from like the fundraising stuff, right? What is
Mhm.
the hardest part that you and the team have to tackle, like
Mhm.
building Slow and launching Midnight, and how did you guys like was able to like get it through?
Yeah. I think other than the fundraising, it's going back to just building the narrative and finding a way to, for instance, like we did this, um, big community round, right? Just finding our identity. I think that's actually been not, I guess, difficult too, but just it's just like a very winding path, right? You don't necessarily know what the answer is at the beginning, so it's sort of like what's the word, flying a plane while you're
Yeah, you have
building
to
a plane
assemble the
while you're
plane
flying it.
while you
Yeah,
yeah.
flying that you're finding it. Yeah. So, and then we quickly found our true identity is it's inclusivity, community driven. We're not just a project that's going to have really high bars, right? Like gatekeeping, like some of the projects that you can probably, without naming names, you can probably guess, right? It's very hard to get their NFTs because they're whitelisted, and it's very hard to get into their events because they always only give it out to their KOLs only. Yeah, I mean we've had this vision that, maybe using a example that everyone can relate to, like within, like, I think between the optimistic roll up space, right? Everyone was like talking about optimism and Arbitrum being
Yes.
the two contenders. And optimism, not saying that one is better than the other, but they took very different approaches. Like optimism was very much the only working with the, you know, um, what you call it, like a blue chip company, right? That in many cases, right, that already found PMF, and and then just poured all the resources
Yes.
behind those ones, those builders. And then the other Arbitrum approach is like we're welcoming everyone, like the degens, the Ponzi's, in the
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 anons.
yeah, the anons, right? The any builders that wants to build a wacky idea. So I think we kind of quickly found that our entity is the second portion, the second scenario, where yeah, again, we're kind of lowering the bar for people to get into the ecosystem, and hopefully, right, that helps to grow the overall pie, to actually get folks from outside of this like crypto bubble in as well.
Nice.
Something that I seen like Solana did really, really well, was like they basically lowered the bar for people to like buy a meme with like a credit card, right? Like
Yes.
a bunch of innovations on the PayFi side to make it even easier for the retail crowd to get in.
Got it. Do you, speaking of PMF, do you think soon the team you guys have already found PMF yet, or it's still
No,
experimenting?
still in the early days, which is fine. I think it's important to admit, right? Like SVM is still a new space that people are starting to learn about, right? And there's other projects out there that are taking very different approach, like they're building SVM rollup on Solana, so it's actually Solana
That's what
launching.
I saw, and then
So
like
it's
I
not
think
L2.
a lot of the question around that, right, is like
Mhm.
why we even need SVM. So honest,
Right,
fast as
it's
hell,
already
like
fast.
already. Like,
Yeah,
can you share a little bit more about that? Like the doubt that you guys are getting, and like the
yeah,
doubt that the entire SVM landscape are getting, right? And why
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
think this doubt doesn't make sense, or you think there's room for
yeah,
improvement for their
yeah.
argument.
Yeah, I personally definitely took a different route than these SVM rollups on Solana, right? Because I had the exact same question, why do we need to when the single L1 is already going to be even faster with the Fire Dancer launching. Um,
Yes.
so I think they probably found like a niche market. It's my understanding, like with Sonic, it's like gaming applications, right? So those
Which
are the
need extra speed and TPS and stuff like that.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, so not so much of a, you know, again, like competitor of Solana, right? In that case, it would be because I think that's what we were trying to avoid. Everyone in within the SVM space, we're becoming a network extension as opposed to a parasitic L2, right? That's what we see. The playbook that has been done in the EVM side that did not work well, right? So
Parasitic is a
LTV
strong word, though. I,
it's,
I
it
agree.
was
I agree
used
with
by
Solana.
so many people on Twitter. It wasn't even my invention. But yeah, I think the main thing to tackle here is SVM is the end game. I very strongly believe that. As I mentioned, as somebody who has seen both EVM side and LVM side, and the user adoption, right? The lack of user adoption in both sides, until Solana came in. I really do
Yes.
believe that this is the vision, right? Is to bring SVM as like a standard, a gold standard into every ecosystem, and that will unlock this innovation hub, right? To
The
encourage like new
different
narratives,
chains.
yeah, in different chains, because people are not everyone's going to build on Solana. That's just like I think that's
That's
I don't need
nice.
to explain that, right? Like, you have your reasons for staying on Ethereum and other ecosystem, and you have your assets that, is in different assets then. And more importantly, I think we also target like a different audience. From a developer's perspective, we are very much bullish on the emerging markets and new applications. So,
Can you be more specific? Like, what are the new emerging market
yeah, yeah,
sectors?
yeah. So,
Mindshare market? Mindshare market?
like we have a bunch of folks that works in Southeast Asia, and yeah, like UAE,
Oh,
Turkey,
nice, nice, nice.
India, yeah, for examples, right? And then myself and the other two BD guys are the only ones on the US, right? So that really makes a difference, because when you have like DevRels on the ground, helping these new emerging builders, right? And we can identify them, right? Because we already have those deep connections with the developer communities. locally. So we're running this localized go-to-market strategy, right? So we have a bunch of hacker houses pretty much every month, right, in the like every region, like Hong Kong, Taiwan, Malaysia. I just came back from that one. Um, yeah, Singapore. Those are the ones I can remember from recent days. But yeah, we have very much a Korea as well. Yeah, so we have very much of a EM focus, and I think that also is a hard path that that we chose to take instead of vampire attacking Solana and getting this blue chips to move over from Solana too soon. We ended up incubating all these new projects, as well as the other part come from the EVM side. Because those guys like the blue chips on EVM, like Dodo is a great example of this, right? Dodo
They're
is
interested in exploring Solana, but they
correct.
are not familiarized with the tech stack and the entire ecosystem. And then you guys
Yeah,
help to lower the entry bar, right, by allowing them
yeah,
to directly deploy
yeah,
via
yeah.
SVM environment.
Yeah, exactly. So, Dodo as a DEX, right? So they build the extension now onto Soon, and in that process, we had to help them like rewrite their code base into Rust, but um, but they ended up now having new user features that can rival like what we see on Solana, right? So they
Nice.
have like a launchpad, meme coin launchpad now. They have a bunch of other performance. Um, yeah, improvement um, on the user experience. So I think
Let's talk about
mhm,
Launchpad. I heard you like talk about like you guys probably wanted to launch it in the near future. You don't need to talk too much about that, but
mhm,
overall, like the sentiment I'm getting around for Launchpad, right? Normally these things they don't last long, right? Probably they launch an asset or the very first few asset, right? It will have the ability to make money for people, and then like it goes down to like a death spiral where eventually the launchpad fails, right? I
mhm.
think that's overall the sentiment of how the market thinks of the launchpad works. How did you guys think about this, and how do you guys plan to address this, right?
Mhm.
Potentially with your own launchpad launch.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a little bit different. Like it's not just like an asset launchpad, right? So
Okay.
yeah, I think the main thing to notice here is like we are basically creating a community driven environment and allowing people to come in and um, yeah, basically like use their own token to almost like a DAO, right? Like to govern the community and decide on like what's the next project that we want to see launch. Like that's the main idea. But I think the main thing going back to like what we're doing differently from some of the other projects, right? That seems to very like have very high bar and gatekeeping people. We actually making it easy, right, to for people to participate and get engaged into the ecosystem, not just to park your like. I like I'm just not gonna name names. I feel like I'm gonna rub a lot of feathers with this episode, but yeah, all these projects that are asking people to like park your TVL, you have to pay to be part of the cabal, right? And then you get airdrops based on your like staking. Not that right. We want to make sure people that wanted to just become like an investment DAO
Nice.
participant, right, can also be um, getting all these rewards, right? Be by being an early content creator. For instance, we have like a really cool sticker pad of like all the different Doctor Soon. That's our mascot. All the different artwork that we got from the community, and now you can use it in like Telegram. It's really cool. Um, yeah, I mean, just like you can come in as a community member, you can come in as a builder, you can come in as a content creator, you can come in as like an investment DAO participant, or you can even come in to test out all these different killer apps that we have built, right? So we also running like incentive campaigns for people to try out the ecosystem partners. So yeah, so I think that's what we're trying to go for, like this inclusiveness, this yeah, allowing people to come in with various background, right, to all feel like they have enough skin in the game and
And
build.
building a community for the long term, right? They're not here for the short term incentive and dump the
Exactly.
token.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, all right. Putting you on the hot seat,
Mhm.
can you share some of the really, really controversial takes that you got
Yeah.
lately about the market, about Solana, about Ethereum? The hotter, the better.
The hotter, the better. Yeah, my hot take is that we are not growing as an ecosystem as a whole right now, right? So there's so many PvP type of activities. So people are just being dragged down from one attention span to another. What I mean by that, maybe giving examples is someone who have recently just participated in like abstract airdrop, claim the token and then they immediately dunk the token and buy the bearer chain token, and then they move on to the next, right? So there's a lot of like zero sum games happening within this space right now, right? So so where do we get the new blood? That's the question. That's been the question that I'm trying to answer this whole time, right? Where do we get people from outside of this bubble, this echo chamber, right, that we all live in? But frankly, we're in a small circle, right? That there's a lot of people that are not believers of crypto, right? So that's the hot take. Like we need to really think about those questions, and I think SVM is the answer, right? So just looking at all the people that got into this cycle, they all came from Solana, and then they use. I mean, and the reason why, by the way, is because they have super smooth user experience, right? The wallet experience better, the DEX experience is better, right? On Jupiter, you can have DCA, value average, all these unique features that you cannot have on other DEXs. Um, and then people ended up just buying the Trump meme coin and then keep it in their wallet, and then they're not trying out a new chain, right? So so how do we, yeah, exactly, like how do we extend that to other ecosystem? That's the challenge.
I see. And then you guys are trying to solve the challenge.
That's exactly why we're doing what we're doing. Exactly.
That's awesome. Thanks for the hot take. And yeah, the next question is the most interesting. It's the typical Tales of Web3 story. Like,
Mm.
give our audience the most interesting story from your journey in Web3. It doesn't have to be building soon, but like it can
Yeah.
involve about like risk taking, full of like unexpected twist,
Mhm.
randomness. Like, give us a story of Joanna that like only you can do, right, in the past that
Mhm.
shaped who you are today.
Mhm. Oh my God,
The
that's a
stage is
big.
yours.
um, let's see. I have a few. Um,
Take your time. Take your time. I want
yeah.
this story to be something that, like, after people hear about it,
Hmm.
they remembered you for this, right? And then
Hmm.
they know you better as a founder, as a
Mm,
builder in the space.
yeah. I think it has to go to back to the beginning, the origin, right? Like, why did I even do crypto in the first place? Because it was definitely not, again, a conventional route. I was doing quite well actually at the time. Wall Street, you
You were a
know,
straight trader for what? For
yeah,
many years, right?
for many years. Um, yeah, 13 years actually. So climbed the ladder, the corporate ladder. I was literally taking a pay cut. Just be real here,
Damn.
coming into crypto. So everyone in my family, I was like, did not understand the decision. I just started a family at the time. We're talking about having kids. Obviously, it's gonna be a lot more expenses coming up. So, why are you doing this? Taking the risk. Um, and I think it goes back to this realization that just like everything I've done up to that point was pointing towards this decision. Like how Steve Jobs said, like you can only connect the dots looking backwards, not forward. It's so true.
Yes.
I worked at Lehman Brothers. I worked at Credit Suisse, like all the banks that no longer
Damn.
exist.
Big names. Big names. Trad five.
Because, yeah, because, right, the centralized financial system, it's just too vulnerable towards one or two bad actors, right? So when I read the Bitcoin white paper, it just really clicked with me. The decentralization ethos, right? Like how we're building the future for the humankind. I mean, sorry for the big word, but all of that just made a ton of sense. And I think we're still on the journey towards mass adoption, right? That's again another word that is overused, but is a guiding force for me personally. How do we get more people outside of this current bubble, right, to come in? So I think at the time, like, just by talking to my friends who are founders in crypto and other people that I was advising for free, refused to
That
pay
was
me.
2017, right?
Yeah, I was like, okay,
That was like
you know what?
the first big bull run, right? Or the second. The
Yeah,
first one is in 2014, I think.
yeah, exactly. The ACO phase, right? So
Yes, yes, yes.
yeah, exactly. So I think I took that calculated risk, and took a job with Coinbase, and that was definitely the best decision I've ever made. Because it was still giving me a lot of learning experience by taking on different roles. They allow me to work in different departments. Yeah, I mean, I felt like I learned quite a bit about NFT marketplace from the second job.
That's really cool.
The good and the bad, the good and the bad. So so I think it was really like the foundation for me to then feel confident to go run like a BD team after this, and now go run my own company, because I learned so much from that first job in
That's
crypto.
awesome. That's really inspiring. Thank you for that story.
Thank you.
What is just out of curiosity, right? Like what is
Mhm.
Coinbase like even at
Yeah,
2017?
I was
Like
actually gonna say, because
how
I
many
think it's
people they have?
yeah, I joined like right after, was it after or before? Right after the IPO, or they call it something else,
Oh.
IPO or something. I don't remember the acronym. When they got listed on the exchange, right? The stock exchange. So so it was at the very beginning of that explosive growth, right?
Oh, I
So
see.
I was like one of the first, maybe the 10th or the 12th person that joined that team that eventually grew into like a 250 people
That's
organization.
crazy.
Yeah, the institutional business. Yeah. So that was really interesting to see like a hyper growth mode, and how you can have so much impact as an early adopter, as an early like usher, right, to embrace that, you know basically building out at work, building out a new product, and feels like a startup within the startup.
That's fun. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and
What do
then
you
mhm.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead, please.
No, and I think the Coinbase culture was also really cool. Like it actually allows you to kind of experiment with different things. There's like a concept of um, like a 10% project, they call it. So
Oh, nice.
basically, 10% of the employees um, are encouraged to take on an entirely, like, I don't want to say random, but entirely, uh,
Whatever they like.
yeah, exactly. A new idea that they wanted to build on, right? So not doing what you're supposed to do, based on your job description, but like a new venture or new product, a new initiative, a new campaign, right? Based on
That's pretty
whatever
cool.
your expertise. So so that's where this NFT marketplace came about, right? I
Nice.
worked on the 10% project.
So the market is pretty down pretty badly. A lot of people are upset. Like as someone who's
Yes.
been in the market for like 3 cycles now, right? This is your third cycle. Like what are some of the words that you wanted to share, you know, like for the traders, for the people who
Oh
the
gosh.
portfolio have done
Oh
badly?
no.
Anything you wanted to share?
I don't make calls. Um, what do I say to the traders? So
The
yeah, I
market's
mean,
gonna be back. The golden ball even haven't even started yet.
I really don't have like a trading view that I'm comfortable sharing. Uh, not as an investment advisor here, but I think the one prediction I do have, right, maybe like taking myself out of the trader hat. Um, like people all talk about AI, right? But
Yes.
I think I actually think it's still underrated, because all the attention that we're getting on the Web2 side, right? It feels like we need to embrace this competition between Web2 and Web3. Who's going to figure out the right use case for AI first? I think
When you say when you say we underestimate AI, are you talking about crypto AI? The bubble just exploded, or talking about the Web 2 AI?
oh the crypto AI, actually the crypto AI, yeah, because
Oh, so
you're
you're
saying
okay.
with the
That's fine. That's a
three
hot
one.
take.
Yeah,
Okay, tell us
exactly. It
more.
is
Tell
actually
us
a hot
more.
take.
Why? Why?
Yeah,
Why?
yeah, yeah. Even though it's so overhyped, because I think everyone is focusing on the DeFi, right? Or DeFi AI, whatever you call that, like DeFi with AI at the end.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't know how to pronounce it. DeFi
DeFi.
I or something. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So, so that itself, right? That small category, subcategory within the big use case, that has been overly played, right? So that is just one small use case, like possibility with what we can do. Using AI as a way to kind of help as a proxy to help you trade, right? But there's so much more that I haven't even seen people talking about, like entertainment, social, right? Um, we have a project within our ecosystem that's building an AI wingman as part of their
That's
dating app.
cool.
Yeah. So as someone who's, I mean, I
Wingman.
think
Oh
that,
my god.
yeah, yeah. Can you imagine? Like, I'm not the perfect example of this, but for someone who's not like, yeah, super good at like, come up with filler words to say to
So just sit.
to someone else, like you just have the AI agent to like do all the talking for you, and then you just come in and close it, right? Like, hey, okay, now we're gonna meet at this place at this time. Um, anyway, sorry, silly jokes, but yeah, I think if we can actually unlock, some of these interesting use cases like in an everyday way, right? Not everyone is a speculator. Not everyone got into crypto because of the DeFi activities, right? There's a whole world of like NFT people, meme coin people, right? That wanted to also benefit from the AI thing. So like at the end of the day, it's about a better user experience, right? Going back to like
Yes.
what drives user adoption is a better user experience. Imagine you just, you know, voice command, like talking to your AI about doing something for you, right? Go buy this thing on GMGN, right? For me, like you don't have to key in any demands, right? It's just
It's so
it just
funny.
does things for you. I mean, that's a DeFi example. And sorry, I drop into the trap again, but imagine, yeah, basically like the
There's so many
AI
things that we haven't even
agent can
explored
help
yet. You
you
know.
with other things as well. Yeah, in your day-to-day life. I think that's what excites me, right? That's why I think the AI narrative is not the arc is not complete yet, right? Like we were still, even with bear market looming, we're still going to see new narratives coming out of it, yeah, within the cycle.
Got it. That's pretty nice.
that's
All
that's
right.
over is that promising enough? Is that optimistic
That's
enough?
actually really promising, really optimistic. I'm gonna open up my GMG and
Yeah.
just kidding. But like, yeah, last question for before we wrap up.
Sure.
Please show hard everything about Soon. What is on the roadmap? What are exciting things people should follow? And as an individual, like person, how they can contribute, how they can become a community champion.
Yeah, yeah. Great question. Yeah. We're actually going to put out some content on this, so please stay tuned, right? We're going to come up with some video instructions, a walkthrough on, some of these, as you mentioned, like ways to get involved with the community. In particular, I wanted to mention one campaign that we're currently running called Big Ben, right? So that's our ecosystem partner Quest campaign. There's, I think, 5 projects that listed now. Like we're going to do this in a serial way to continue to add new apps that are onboarded onto soon to the campaign. So we allocated overall, by the way, 8% of the actually 20% in general, the entire token allocation towards these campaigns. But like in terms of the
20%?
yeah, 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 yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was the other thing, right? Like we actually mean it when I say community first.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. 20%
maybe
is a
some other
lot.
project was giving out 5% of their token and call a day. We actually committed to 51% are given out. So majority of the token will be given to the community, right? So that's through different ways like NFT mint, like this Quest campaigns, right? We have other Quest campaigns coming up with the like centralized exchanges. Yeah, so all of this is airdrops as well, right? Is earmarked for the community engagement. So yeah, we'd love to see folks coming and test out our different products, our weird dating app, our inscriptions.
Let's go.
Yeah, the some kind of Ponzi like gambling kind of activities too. Yeah, I mean it's really a good playground for everybody, degens or non-degens.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And here we wrap up the Tales of Web3 Season 3, Episode 4 with Joanna.
Awesome. Thank you, Ricky.